No, it's worth. I mean, it's worth letting them know. Hi, everybody. Sorry, had to reboot the computer. It was slow. Things went slow, and I had to reboot. And then, rebooting is always fun. So, welcome everybody. TikTok, YouTube, our YouTube, Discord. Let me get TikTok going, and then we are set. Not really problems. It's just I could tell things were grinding to a halt, and I went, you know what? Let me pop this out. I'm going to reboot just to be safe. All right. And I'm going to shrink. There we go. Shrinking my video. All right. This will be better. So now my video is shrunk, and that will give me a little more RAM. TikTokers. Hello, TikTok. Hello. Hello. Hello, TikTok. Hello, YouTube. All right. We are all good. And then the Discord stuff where it likes to update the software every time I do this. So like it literally was like sitting there going, la, la, la. Anyway, and my voice is still being a little evil, but what do you do? Anyway, welcome, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday, June 30th. God, June 30th already. Jesus Christ. It's going to be like September soon. Hey, Bjorn. Very weird. Thank you for the fest gift. Thank you for the fest gift. Thank you, Running and Carol as well. Carol. So welcome, guys. We're going to talk about the news. A little bit of Ukraine news, a lot of Trump news going, or a lot of news, Trump news as well going on. Thank you, Jules. Ta main est bien ce soir. La main est mieux. Oui. La main, or le main, la main. La main? Oui. Remember in French, we don't say ta. No, in French, you're not supposed to refer to your body parts with possessives. Don't know why, but it's like a thing. So it's not ta main, it's la main. But as an American, of course, we'd say ta main, like your hand. Hand is doing well. I'm doing little exercises because I can, like the bending, not 100%, but actually, there we go. Finger is just touching palm. And getting it straight up is less fun, but I can do it. I'm trying to actually let this rest. I overdid it. I overstretched yesterday, although you can tell it's already pretty good, but I overstretched it yesterday. So I'm trying not to mess with this part today. But yes, I've got another week and a half before I see the doctor again. So I think I'll be, and the Palestinians are here to harass us. There's a surprise. What a surprise. Always knowing how to win friends and influence people. Elon Musk's and Donald Trump's ceasefire is over. I did a bit of a tease with the show today. Elon, and this is fabulous. Elon and Trump Elon is just massively swiping at Trump. It's fabulous. So let's get started with the American news. Welcome, guys. I am John Aravosis, as you know. This is the show we talk about politics. A lot of it is U.S. politics. We also talk about the war in Ukraine. Lately, we were talking about Iran and Israel. There isn't really any news on that front, which is good, actually. Thank you, Larissa. But the big news today is Trump is trying to pass his massive tax cut in order to pay for his tax. It's a tax cut. It adds massively to defense spending. It adds massively to border stuff, immigration stuff. And in order to pay for it, and they're not paying for it, it's still going to add $4 trillion. It could add $4 trillion to the national debt over the next decade, which is a horrific amount. Tax cuts. Republicans always do tax cuts ever since Ronald Reagan. And ever since they've done that, they have always claimed that their tax cuts pay for themselves, because when you cut taxes, the economy grows, and then the government gets more money, because if businesses are doing better, they get more money taxing business. That's really cute. Feel free to Google it. It's never been true in the last 50 years since Ronald Reagan that they've made up this claim of we grow the economy and tax cuts paid for themselves. Tax cuts have never paid for themselves. Ronald Reagan's tax cuts, I forget exactly how many trillion he added. George Bush's tax cuts were like 1.3 trillion on their face. The Donald Trump's first tax cuts might have been 2 trillion at the time. I forget. Well, to reauthorize Donald Trump's tax cuts this time, it's going to cost $4 trillion. $4 trillion. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Eslen. And this, by the way, is from independent organizations. This is objective. This is not me. This is not Democrats saying it. The independent objective budget analysts say this is going to add $4 trillion to our national debt. What particularly upsets me is, and again, this is part of the lie that unfortunately exists in politics. Republicans have created a very nice lie claiming they care about the budget. They don't. They want to cut federal programs like Trump has been doing with Elon Musk, how they pretty much just gutted everything. They got rid of the Department of Education. They cut all U.S. foreign aid. Literally, people have died. Children have died. Children have gotten AIDS. I was watching Republican commentator, what's his face last night, David Brooks, talk about how many children have gotten AIDS, how many children have died because of Donald Trump's and Elon Musk's budget cuts. They want to cut budget. They want to cut the government. They don't like the government. They don't care that the government does good things, such as saving people's lives. They don't care. They want to cut it. That's what this is. They want to keep giving tax cuts. They want to spend money on the stuff they want to spend on, which is defense and businesses. But this is $4 trillion, and it's bad. It's bad. They're paying for it in part. I mean, they're not paying for it. It's going to cost $4 trillion to the deficit, or to the debt, but they're paying for it in part by cutting Medicaid, which is the healthcare program for poor people and people on disabilities and some seniors. They're gutting that. The estimates for that are, I'm trying to pull this up. I had this here. Oh yeah. Listen, the Senate bill will leave 11.8 million more people without health insurance, but in the next decade. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the Congressional Budget Office is the independent arm of Congress. They work for Congress. They don't work for Republicans or Democrats. They just work for Congress. They say the Republicans are going to add, the Senate bill is going to add 12 million more people without health insurance. It's going to cause. Lovely stuff. They're cutting food programs as well. Food assistance for people who are poor, it's not even to pay for the tax cuts because they're not paying for their tax cuts. They're going to add $4 trillion to the national debt. It's irresponsible. I mean, I'm like all for tax cuts. I don't mind getting tax cuts, but, and ironically, what they're actually doing in this bill, my taxes are going to go up, which is really ridiculous because they're cutting the Obamacare subsidies. A number of the Obamacare subsidies expire. The government helps you pay for because my premiums are more than $1,500 a month for my health insurance. That's just the premium. That's what I pay for the insurance. And then I pay more for the actual treatment. $1,500 a month. Actually, it's $1,530. Some of that I get reimbursed. I'm going to get less now because of the Republican bill. So it's going to cost me maybe $2,000 to $4,000 more money because of this bill, which is insane. Absolutely insane. It blows my mind. And so they're giving tax cuts for the rich, and it's going to cost people like me probably $2,000 to $4,000. Yep. I mean, this is what they do, and they get away with it. It's, sorry, I'm adjusting my temperature here in the apartment. It's just so anyway. And again, our deficit is a problem. The national debt is horrific. It's out of control. Donald Trump is adding $4 trillion to the national debt. I mean, and you know what, by the way, Americans deserve this. You know what? They got lied to all the time, and they go, yay, more. Okay. Well, what do you do? What do you do? People wanted this. Okay. Well, guess what? Most of you are not going to have lower taxes. Anybody who was getting subsidies, forget it. Anybody who knows anybody on Medicaid, forget it. It's like, okay, well, congratulations. But we're going to have, I'm all for it. Honestly, the border stuff, I don't even care about the border stuff. What I mean is spending more on making the border impermeable. I'm fine with that. People shouldn't be crossing the border illegally. That's fine. I couldn't care less about that. But this stuff drives me a little crazy. You're going to cut healthcare for poor people? Seriously? In order to give and we're adding $4 trillion to the debt. Anyway, let me read you this. This was I think this was Washington Post. President Trump's massive legislative package, dubbed the One Big Beautiful Bill, is barreling through the Senate as Republicans race to meet a self-imposed July 4th deadline. The bill combines permanent extensions of the 2017 Trump tax cuts, a temporary hike of the SALT deduction cap to $40,000, that's a tax deduction, and billions in new defense and border security funding. To help pay for it, the legislation includes steep cuts to Medicaid and food assistance programs, sparking outrage from Democrats and advocacy groups. A fierce debate has erupted over how, this is great too, the Republicans are doing this cute little budget trick to make it sound like they're saving money. They're claiming, oh no, our bill's going to save money in the long term, because they're doing some weird budget trick. The actual independent body in Congress that analyzes every piece of legislation, the Congressional Budget Office, literally nonpartisan permanent staff at the Congressional Budget Office say, no, it's going to add $4 trillion to the national debt. They're lying about it too. But again, we live in a lemming culture now. We live in a cult culture. The cult is going to go, yay, right? Yay. Despite the controversy, Republican leaders are determined to deliver a legislative win for Trump, who has been publicly pressuring Congress. The Senate has plunged into marathon amendment sessions, aiming for final votes in the next day or two. The Senate version of the bill would leave 11.8 million more people without health insurance by 2034, according to a Congressional Budget Office analysis released over the weekend. That's more than the 10.9 million more projected to be left uninsured by the House. So the Senate's going to get 1 million more uninsured than the House will. Thank you, Marsha. Keep the gifts coming, guys. And the bill will also cut food stamps, now called SNAP, basically food assistance for poor people. Elon Musk went crazy over the weekend attacking Trump over the bill, which is fascinating because you remember that Elon and Trump were hating each other a couple of weeks ago, and then they made up. Elon's, and I have to laugh at this, Elon's upset, and this is great. Elon's upset because the bill cuts money for like alternative energy, which of course includes Elon's cars. Yeah, as we say in English, no shit, Sherlock. Elon Musk is just figuring out that Donald Trump doesn't like alternative energy, like solar and electric cars. Donald Trump has always said he hates them. Donald Trump has electric cars in particular. Donald Trump has always hated them. Elon sucks up to him, gets him elected. Trump pretends he likes Tesla, and Elon goes along with it. Trump has said all along he wants to, he complains about the shower, and can't get enough water in the shower. He complains about the toilets. My favorite's the toilets, because nobody in America has a toilet that doesn't flush well. The toilets, you have to flush them multiple times. No, the only reason you have to flush a toilet multiple times is because literally your toilet doesn't work. Like no toilet in America do you flush and go, there's not enough water. This is, in any case, so Elon knew what he was getting into. Tesla. Elon knew what he was getting into. Thank you, Marsha, for the cheer mic. And Elon flipped out this weekend about this bill. Mind you, this is Trump's big bill, right? Listen to this. Over the weekend, Elon went on Twitter, X, and torched a new Senate bill backed by Trump, calling it one big, beautiful bill that's actually a disaster. Elon posted, the latest Senate draft bill will destroy millions of jobs in America and cause immense strategic harm to our country. Oh, thank you for the glasses, Blue. Elon says it will crush industries of the future like solar, wind, batteries, and nuclear power. And he's warning Republicans that passing it would be political suicide. Well, got news for you, Elon. Everybody in America knew Donald Trump was going to destroy solar, destroy wind. Trump has been claiming for years that wind power causes cancer. Like it doesn't, by the way. Honestly, Elon is like it's not a leitmotif, it may be microcosm of like the Republican voter. Of, they've been interviewing Republican voters who are like, I have a farm and Donald Trump just arrested all of my employees. What am I going to do? I do a lot of my small business. All my products are made in China. I'm going out of business now with Trump's tariffs. Oh my, what part of this did Trump not tell you? Right? I mean, it's like we all knew who this guy was in terms of his morals and his ethics. We all knew who he was in terms of his views, right? We knew he was going to destroy alternative energy. We know he hates electric cars. He said so repeatedly. I mean, I as Jason just said it, right. I didn't think the face-eating leopards would eat my face. Thank you, Succeed. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Marsha. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, I'm glad. This is always good. Elon and Trump fighting, always good. Because it increased the possibility of Elon not helping Republicans at all in the next election. Elon is the richest man in the world. It would be good for him not to help them. Elon's flirting with a third political party, which is great because right now that third political party is going to help Democrats more than Republicans, right? Because Elon cultivated the Republicans, not the Democrats. Thank you, Marcia. So that's good. Thank you, Mike, for the confetti as well. So that's good. Anyway, but the notion that this bill is going to be political suicide, Fox News is going to tell people, oh no, more of you are getting Medicaid. And they're all going to go, oh, okay. Fox News is going to tell them you're healthier when you're hungry. Donald Trump made you healthy. And they're going to go, yay. So, Elon's upset, please. Trump is going after Harvard even harder now. Let me read you this. This was New York Times, I think. Trump administration finds Harvard violated civil rights law. The Trump administration said Monday that Harvard University violated federal civil rights laws by failing to address the harassment of Jewish students on campus, increasing the pressure on the Ivy League school as it negotiates a possible settlement with the White House. In a letter to Harvard's president, officials from 4 federal agencies said that the university was in violation. Thank you for that. Oh, that's a cool one. Thank you, Marcia. Said the university was in violation of Title VI, a portion of the federal civil rights law that bars discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin. In recent years, government officials have interpreted the provision to include shared ancestry and ethnic characteristics. In their letter, the Trump administration officials said Harvard's commitment to racial hierarchies had enabled anti-Semitism to fester. This gets interesting. Hang on. At the nation's oldest and wealthiest university, they warned that here's the problem, okay? This reminds me of the Republican attacks on Bill Clinton in the 1990s. Bill Clinton was a great president. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's very cool among the kids today to say, oh, that Bill Clinton, he was a terrible president. No, Bill Clinton was an amazing president. He was a terrible human being in some ways. He obviously, his whole sex scandal thing, horrific. President overall, amazing. The sex scandal thing, horrific. Republicans wanted to destroy him from the beginning. From the beginning, they created this whole conspiracy theory that Bill and Hillary had murdered all their political opponents. It was ridiculous. Absolutely. But they repeated it on TV, Jerry Falwell, all these crazy religious people, right? Thank you, Marsha. And then they caught Clinton lying about the sex affair with Monica Lewinsky. And I always said that with Bill Clinton, it was a witch hunt, but they caught a witch. That's how I always described it. It was a witch hunt. I mean, this was totally unfair what they did to him, but he gave them what they wanted by lying under oath. And you don't lie under oath. The Harvard stuff, and I almost don't even want to get into it because we fight whenever we talk about these topics. I think the way that the Northeastern universities handled the pro-Palestinian protests was horrific. I said at the time that these were probably civil rights violations and the universities better be careful under federal civil rights laws dealing with education. I mean, I literally tweeted this I probably told you guys, but I tweeted it at the time. And this is exactly what the Republicans are doing. They're not entirely wrong. That's the problem. They're trying to destroy Harvard, but they're not And even that sentence I just read, the problem is basically, you know what? Harvard, unfortunately, and a number of the East Coast schools embraced the far left, but I'm talking the far left, not the left, not progressives, the far left. Well, whatever progressives are today, they embrace the far left. And the far left does get into this whole hierarchy of race garbage. They don't like Jews. They don't like gay men. They don't like white people. There's a whole long category, as a gay man, I say this, of people they don't like. And it's very unfair and it's discriminatory. Harvard wanted to, and the other schools, they wanted to bend over backwards for the pro-Palestinian protesters. They didn't care that Jewish students felt threatened on campus. And they feel threatened, and there's a reason for them to feel threatened. And that's why I said at the time, what's going on? You can protest, but you're threatening these kids. They were not letting kids walk across the quad who were Jewish. These are civil rights violations. And it's come home to roost because very bad people like Donald Trump are using legitimate civil rights violations at Harvard to try to destroy Harvard. So that you've got a witch hunt, right? Donald Trump isn't doing this to help Jewish people. He's not doing this to help Jewish people, right? He's doing this because Harvard is a liberal school and he wants to hurt liberals. That's why he's doing it. He's trying to get Harvard to cave, and he's using the Jewish thing as an example. It did not help Harvard that I think it did discriminate against Jewish students. And that was not really smart of it, because under Biden, they got away with it. And then Trump got elected, and they handed Trump exactly what he needed to basically screw them. That's why. And so that's why, like, I still think what Trump is doing is authoritarian. He's using this because he's trying to destroy his political enemies, and he thinks Harvard is a political enemy because it's a liberal school. It's sick, it's wrong, it's authoritarian. Harvard did not do itself any favors. So, unfortunately. Idaho. So the other story, really nasty story last night. In the U.S. state of Idaho, Northwest U.S., some guy, and they found him. He killed himself. I think he killed himself or was shot. Some guy decided to set a fire in the forest and wait with a high-powered rifle for firemen to arrive, firefighters to arrive, and then kill them. And he basically set a forest fire and sat in the woods so he could kill firefighters. Crazy, horrific story. Killed 2 firefighters. One was in critical condition last night. I don't know how he's doing today. The guy himself was finally found dead. At one point, he wanted to be a forest firefighter. Who knows? I mean, really just insane story. And unfortunately, very typical. It's not terrorism, probably not terrorism. Terrorism is when you use violence in order to influence politics. So just killing firefighters isn't terrorism. It would have to be, even an assassination isn't necessarily terrorism. Terrorism is when you literally do it because you're trying to impact politics. Killing a firefighter is not trying to impact politics unless he said unless he left a manifesto that said, I'm doing this to impact something else, then it would potentially be terrorism. Yes. Anyway, there's specific definitions of terrorism. That's the only reason I'm saying it probably isn't from what we know so far. Oh, thank you. Who was that with the gift? Marsha. Thank you, Marsha. Very nice gift. Oh, it's a horrific story. Absolutely horrific story. Terrorism is achieving political goals. Google it. It's not just achieving goals. It's political goals. It is. Trust me. That was a very nice gift. Yes, it very much was. Thank you, Marsha. He might have been rejected trying to get a firefighter. We don't know. I mean, I don't know yet. I know from what I was looking at in the last hour, he wanted to become a firefighter or what do you call it? A forest firefighter, but we don't know. We don't know. Anyway, some quick Ukraine stories. So right before I came on, there was a report that the Russians closed the Crimean bridge. Oops, didn't like that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, whatever. TikTok didn't like that we were talking about that story of the firefighter getting hurt. Like, all right, whatever. I mean, young people might not like that story. It's like, okay, sorry. Russia reportedly closed the Crimean bridge, which is interesting to see if maybe Ukraine attacked it again. We don't know. Brutal strike, massive Russian missile and drone attack on Kyiv overnight, killing 30, injuring 172. Norway is going to deploy F-35 fighter jets to Poland to protect Ukrainian aid. And Ukraine is getting a $1.7 billion with a B dollar loan from Canada backed by Russian assets. So just wanted to mention, not a ton of Ukraine news, but wanted to mention, especially the Canada story. We don't talk about Canada a lot. Nice large loan from Canada. So yeah, let's talk about whatever you want now. 28 candidates? Oh God, no. I mean, no real news from Israel and Iran. I mean, the ceasefire is still holding in there. So, I will say, there was some news this weekend. Let me see if I can pull it up. I was going to do a video on this. You'll be surprised to hear that there's new reports that we didn't destroy enough of the Iran stuff. What a surprise. Guess who the latest source was? The Iranians. We intercepted, and of course, the White House went nuts and went, bad media, you hate our troops. We intercepted Iranian, here we go. Iranian communications. This is the Washington Post. Intercepted call of Iranian officials downplays damage of U.S. attack. This is important, though, because this is Iranian officials talking to themselves about how much damage was done where they would be honest. The officials were heard saying that Trump's strike on Iran proved less devastating than expected. The administration calls the intelligence insignificant. The U.S. obtained an intercepted communication between senior Iranian officials discussing this month's U.S. military strikes on Iran's nuclear program and remarking that the attack was less devastating than the Iranians had expected, said 4 people familiar with the classified intelligence. The communication, intended to be private, included Iranian government officials speculating as to why the strikes, listen to this, speculating as to why the strikes directed by President Trump were not as destructive and extensive as they had anticipated. If this were a Democrat, senior Iranian officials can't understand why Donald Trump didn't hit them harder. Imagine if this were a Democrat, okay? The Iranians don't understand why Trump didn't hit them harder. The intercepted signals intelligence means spying on phone calls and things, basically, is the latest preliminary information offering a more complicated picture than Trump claiming that the facilities were completely and totally obliterated. The Trump administration did not dispute I've got to do a video on this later. This story happened yesterday, so I forgot to look at it to prepare for the show today. I copied it and then forgot. The Trump administration did not dispute the existence of the intercepted communication, but strenuously disagreed with the Iranians' conclusions and cast doubt on their ability to assess the damage at the 3 nuclear facilities. Listen to this. It's shameful that the Washington Post is helping people commit felonies by publishing out-of-context leaks. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said, the notion that unnamed Iranian officials know what happened under hundreds of feet of rubble is nonsense. Their nuclear program is over. If the Iranians don't know what happened under hundreds of feet of rubble, of their own rubble, how do we know? How do we know? Right? Think about this. It's under hundreds of feet of rubble. There's no way you could know. Well, if there's no way you could know, then why did your boss say that it was obliterated and completely obliterated if there's no way to know? Thank you, JPT. Right? I know. I need it. Anybody find me a good blonde wig? I'll be your friend. I need a blonde wig for this woman. I have to do a video on this. These people are unfreaking believable. And it's become a matter of pride now because this is what Trump does. I said this. I said Trump was going to make this about him. And the danger was we are going to be making national security decisions about Iran's nuclear program based on Donald Trump's pride, because Donald Trump got ahead of himself and claimed that the facilities were totally, completely obliterated and Iran's nuclear program is gone. Trump said Iran will never be able to do a program again. Because Trump said it, everybody now has to repeat it. And because everyone's repeating it, we have to basically pretend that Iran's done. Iran is safe. Iran's no longer a problem. What if it is a problem? What if it's not done? What if we didn't totally destroy their nuclear program? Thank you, Louise. We need to decide. And by the way, what if Iran needs to be hit again? That's the kind of stuff that our intelligence agencies and the military have to decide, whether Iran has been sufficiently set back. How do you decide that when the boss says, no, you will not conclude that it has not been hit hard? You will conclude that it has been totally destroyed. Well, then, right? If the Pentagon, think about this too. What if the Pentagon figures out that Iran does need to be hit again? That they haven't completely destroyed it? What if they figure out in a year that Iran is reconstituting its program? But Donald Trump said Iran will never be able to reconstitute its program. If the Pentagon is allowed to hit Iran again, it will prove that Donald Trump lied, because you don't have to hit Iran again unless Trump lied, because Trump said their program's over. It's never coming back. Right? So all of a sudden, Trump's lies are impacting American foreign policy, and not just policy, national security policy. It's so incredibly dangerous. I'm just really, oh God, hold on. Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe What was this? I like this. A senior U.S. intelligence official said one slice of signals intelligence on its own does not reflect the full intelligence picture. A single phone call between unnamed Iranians is not the same as an intelligence assessment. Right. But the problem is when senior leadership of your enemy says, holy cow, we didn't just survive. Our program's doing pretty well. They didn't destroy. And then they're saying, we don't know, why didn't he hit us harder? Why did he leave so much of our program intact? You don't think they know what they've got? If they're saying they can't believe you didn't hit them harder and you left their program intact, the only reason the Iranians would be saying we can't believe Donald Trump didn't hit us harder is because something is left behind and it's working. For the Trump people to say the Iranians don't know, of course they know. Why would they say we can't believe Donald Trump didn't hit us harder, that he left so many things still intact, right? It's like your house gets hit by a hurricane or a tornado, and afterwards you go, I can't believe so many things survived in my house. And somebody goes, well, that's ridiculous. Your house is rubble. How would you know that? Well, on its face, if your house is hit and you go there and you say, I can't believe so many of my belongings survived, it is per se prima facie proof that you went and you looked and you know for a fact that your stuff survived, right? You don't, it's on its face. The Iranians know that a significant part of their nuclear program survived. And they're basically not laughing at us, but kind of going, what's wrong with Trump that he didn't come after us? I will tell you what's wrong with Trump. Thank you, Marsha, for the Galaxy. You're buying very nice stuff today, Marsha. Thank you for that. Thank you, Adventures as well. Forgot what I was saying, but I still am glad Marsha got me the gift. I forgot what I was saying about Trump and this, the Iranians and hitting them and their program. Shoot, I can't remember now. It's a concept of a military victory. This is really dangerous. This is really dangerous. We don't know. It's really just, I know what it was, why we didn't hit him harder. From the beginning, Marianne, you're here. Thank you, by the way. Marianne's here today. Woo woo. From the beginning, I said, thank you, Flower Lady. I said that often, Callum didn't always agree with me, but in terms of American strikes throughout history that I've witnessed as an adult following this stuff, typically we hit a country, something, and you do the satellite assessment, and then you go back for round two. And the satellite assessment, or maybe human beings or whatever, the intelligence says, oh yeah, that facility you destroyed, this one you partially destroyed, but you need to hit it again. Typically, the next day or two or three, you learn that you need to come back for more. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean, and Trump literally said, you're accusing the pilots of screwing up. No, you're not. This is literally like what you do with these attacks. You have to go and check and have an intelligence assessment to see, did we hit it? Didn't we hit it? Did we do enough damage? How much damage? These are new weapons, by the way. Keep in mind, these weapons were made for Iran. It's not like we've got it. They basically did it. They guessed that they were going to be sufficient. They guessed. It was an educated guess, but it was a guess. I have to do a video on this now. I'm so annoyed. I just can't believe, like I said, that the Iranians themselves are saying, oh yeah, a lot of our stuff survived privately to each other. And the Trump people are going, how would they know? They're Iranian, for starters. It just boggles my mind. Absolutely boggles my mind. So yes, I'm actually going to send myself a text message of that article right now so I don't forget. So freaking annoying, these people. There we go. To me. There we go. Oh, what else, guys? What else? Marion, I must have told your Seth Tillman story again the other day. I just think it's the funniest damn thing. I always get it a little bit wrong, but I think it was the definition of war versus the definition of peace. If I'm not incorrect. The bombs have never been used. Yeah, it is not anybody's fault that we needed to test the bombs to see how they're working. Hey, Osanar. Good to see you. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you? No operating definition of war for his argument. Yeah. And it was something like, how do you stop conflicts from becoming wars? That's what I told people. And oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Marsha. You're on a roll today. Thank you. Everybody else give gifts too. I'm feeling bad that Martha's the one, or Marsha's the one giving gifts on TikTok, but thank you. It was something like, wasn't his lesson. This was a class at Georgetown that Marion, my friend Marion, who went to Georgetown with me, that Matt Albright was teaching. And the guest lecturer was this other professor, Seth Tillman, who's a very nice guy, but he was, I think, if I'm not incorrect, he was presenting on the transition point to war of basically when something becomes a war or something. And Marion said, well, okay, how do you define? I'm going to paraphrase, but like, shouldn't we get our definitions done first? If we're talking about like when conflicts become wars, what is a conflict? What is a war? What's the difference? And he kind of got stymied, and Marion got the stink eye. Madeleine Albright was my prof, and Marion's too. Yes, she taught at Georgetown. She was in the government before. Thank you, Bryce. I love that gift. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Yobu. Madeleine was at U.S. government, like in Jimmy Carter administration, then was at Georgetown, then got hired by Clinton, UN ambassador first, I believe, and then Secretary of State maybe under Obama. Was that how it worked? Under Clinton, it was UN ambassador, and Obama was Secretary of State, I think. In any case, in between, we had her at Georgetown. She was very nice. She was good. She was funny. She used to push me. I won this award because Marion made me enter. She saw me in the elevator. She goes, did you apply for the prize? Because you have to do this, or you have to present an essay and orally defend it. And I was like, no, why not? I said, well, I've got to write the essay. But she goes, you've already got the essay. It's the essay you wrote for me. You've got until the end of the day. Do it. I was like, okay. And I went home and presented. I went home and wrote it up, presented it, and I won. Thanks to Marion. And I bought a leather jacket with my prize money. So thanks to Marion. But anyway, not Marion. Not you too. Thanks to Madeline. But it was very funny. Yes. Oh, that's interesting. She said she wished she'd gone to law school. Oh, that's interesting. She would have been a good lawyer. Yeah. Rob is asking, will the direct impact on MAGA pocketbooks be enough to wake MAGA up to Trump? I don't know. I mean, they don't seem to wake up to much, right? There's a lot of this, whatever he does is okay. You know? Yes, Madeline was born abroad. This is pre-internet, of course. We were, because I was in her class, and she had graded my paper or whatever, it was an essay, and was talking to me about it and gave it to me. And I remember looking at it, and she wrote a little note on there, and she signed it, which is kind of nice. I've got it buried somewhere. And I looked at her note, and I looked at it, I said, you weren't born here. You were born abroad. I said, where'd you come from? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, that handwriting. I said, it's European. It's not American. And she goes, I was born in the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia, I guess. I was born in Czechoslovakia. I said, she goes, how did you know that? I said, your handwriting's not American. But it was funny because I had no idea she was from, that she was born over there. This was 1987, maybe 1988, 88 or so, give or take. But it was very funny because she was like, how do you know that? It's like, your handwriting, you're not American. I mean, you're American, but you weren't raised here. I love stuff like that. I find it fun. I find it fun listening to accents and the way people write and being able to pick up little clues. I love it. I'm good at it too, but I always enjoy actually our Uber driver the other day. This one, I got lucky. Interesting accent, kind of posh African or Caribbean Anglo. And I was like, I've got to figure out where you come from. And he goes, I'm not going to tell you, guess. I was like, all right. And so I said, okay, sometimes I think Caribbean, but I'm feeling African with you. And I said, okay, Anglo. I said, I mean, there's a number of countries. For some reason, I'm not feeling Nigerian. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go with Ghana. He goes, what do you do for a living? I was like, well, I kind of have this political news show I do. He's like, I'm from Ghana. I was like, oh, well, like I said, I should have been a spy. I always wanted to be a spy. What do you do? But I'm from Chicago. We ask those kind of questions, Amanda. Thank you, Hellian. Amanda's writing, where do you come from? We're actually from Chicago. That was the polite way of saying, where do you come from? From Chicago, what we say is, what are you? People out here used to hate that when I moved out here. We just say, what are you? Like, so what are you? Meaning, are you Italian? Are you Greek? And out here, people were like, what do you mean? And then you'd say, like, your nationality. And they'd go, American? And I'm like, I know you're American, because that's the other thing. At least, do we still say it, Ash? Growing up in Chicago, we'd say, what's your nationality? Meaning, what's your ethnicity? You know, Greek, Italian, whatever. Anyway, we say, what did you grow on? What is that, Reg? I'm an alien. Yeah. Anyway, I always wanted to work at CIA, but again, gay people didn't do well. Gay people probably did do it, but I wasn't going to risk it. So sadly, several careers I didn't pursue because of the gay thing. I got into the Foreign Service too. I passed my Foreign Service exam and turned them down because of the gay thing, because I was afraid I'd get in trouble because it wasn't allowed back then. And then Bill Clinton came in and changed everything. But what do you do? What do you do? Anyway, where are you from? Even where you from is kind of funny, because where you from, they'd be like, Toronto. What do you mean, where am I from? Right? It's rude in the UK. Well, even here, I'm careful about it because of the immigrant thing. I will often say, actually, I'll even say I'm Greek. I'll say, my family's Greek. We came from Greece. I was born here. And I noticed your accent. Do you mind me asking where you're from originally? And I try to put it like, I'm not calling ICE on you. I'm asking you because I think it's interesting. And typically we have fun conversations about it, which is good. They've always been fun conversations. So, but it is kind of a funny thing to ask, but I'm from Chicago, and I say, I'm from Chicago. We're into that stuff. We like the ethnic stuff, and we do. I've always enjoyed the ethnic stuff. I mean, and I'm Greek, even in France, they called me because there were two Johns in the house, group house I was living in. And the woman running the house called me John le Grec, John the Greek, because there were two of us. So where are you from? That is funny though. Where are you from? Yeah. Tom Tillis not running. Interesting. I mean, we've got another Republican senator who's not running for re-election and is willing to stand up to Trump because he's not running for re-election. More of them ought to stand up to him, but what do you do? Not sure sort of what we can do about it. The ceasefire has not ended. The ceasefire between Donald Trump and Elon Musk has ended, which we were very happy about. So that was good. So, exactly. I mentioned first, I go, well, I'm Greek. My mom immigrated, and I'm always interested in other people's stories. And then they're like, okay, you're not ICE. I'm like, no. So, but anyway, what else, guys? What part of the South? Oh, that's interesting. Well, but I guess why not though? If you're a Southerner, you're kind of curious what Southern state you're from. East of Wrigley Field. Oh, that's interesting. Born in Ohio, grew up in Egypt, then Cyprus, now living in Latvia. That is kind of fascinating though. That's very fascinating. Huh. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Tired. Oh, did NVIDIA hit an all-time high? Woo-woo! Woo-woo! One of the only investments I ever made that went anywhere, NVIDIA. I generally speaking just invest like in stock market funds overall. But ever think about leaving where? The U.S.? Well, trying to get my Greek passport. We'll see. Hand is doing better. It still is healing. It's going to take another week and a half to like heal, but it only hurts when I do my exercises. As I was saying, I'm like actually bending it this way easier. Come on, get it to the hand. Come on. There we go. Getting it to touch my hand. There we go. But getting it straight up is a little harder, but I'm being careful today because I heard it a little yesterday. Red is a nice color. I mean, I have heard that, Rooney. I always liked red anyway, but enough people have been like, oh, red looks good on you. So I have a couple red shirts on purpose for the show. Now I'm going to unplug my rice so it can sit and steam while we're waiting. One moment. There we go. I'm enjoying my rice cooker. I am enjoying my rice cooker, I must say. So, you're steaming rice. Yes. I become a fan of jasmine rice. Yes. I had trigger finger surgery on my hand. Yeah. So I've been doing stuff, but yesterday, like trying to straighten out the finger, put a little too much pressure on the wound. I talked to them today. It was like, give today a little break. So I did a little bit of exercise today, but I'm going to let it sit. I just don't want the finger to get stuck. Ceasefire is holding so far between Iran and Israel. Yes. Yes. Honestly, Israel is not going to you had 7 trigger finger release surgeries. Oh my God, dear Lord. I've had 1. I've heard of people having several though. It's always been the same finger though, like over the last 10 years. So I'm hoping it doesn't spread. But swimming helps the hand. Interesting. Oh, diabetic. Oh, is that a thing? Boy, diabetics, you guys get all sorts of stuff. Because I've got like several things where over the years they go, "Are you diabetic?" I'm like, no, just problems, Anyway, everyone's talking food now. Yes. No, my rice cooker is good. I got it on Amazon. It was recommended. I forget the name. Aroma, I think is the name, but it's like a $35 rice cooker. I waited till it went down to $29 and I jumped, and I'm very happy with it. It's the right size. It's not too big. So I can slip it away, but I'm glad I bought a rice cooker. I kind of always wanted like good rice. I don't make a lot of rice, but I make enough. And whenever I make rice in a pot, it's always kind of wet and gooey, always. And this way it's actually good rice. Like it's like restaurant rice. It makes me very happy. So I love my food, as you guys know. I was thinking I need to make some Greek. Actually, I'm going to make some Greek food tomorrow. I had some chicken that was taking up too much space in my freezer. I'm trying to finally go through my freezer and like clean it. Cause freezer, like what is 90% of my freezer stuff I don't eat? So I'm like, all right, eat it. So I took out some chicken thighs I've got, and there's a really good recipe I actually saw on TikTok for making Greek potatoes. It works shockingly well. I told my sister, I was like, I've never found a recipe that worked for Greek potatoes. So I'm going to make my Greek potatoes with chicken on top tomorrow. Very happy. It's a lot, but I'm going to freeze it. So anyway, that's tomorrow's food. And then I'm in the mood for pasticcio. It's been a while, which is another Greek dish. So when I apply for my Greek citizenship, I'm going to use all of you as witnesses and say he makes Greek food all the time. So, yep, I'm going to let it sit 15, 20 minutes. It said 10 to 20 minutes. You did miss the show, German, or German, as I keep wanting to call you. Every time I see your name, I'm thinking like Latino. German, hola. Yeah, exactly. He does cook Greek. Well, no, because I was reading like I'm still waiting for the embassy to get back to me. You know how that is. But, actually, I didn't tell you guys. So I had a wonderful conversation this weekend with a guy that runs one of the Facebook groups or whatever. Now we're at the part of the show where we just hang out and talk. We're not going to do politics anymore. But a guy that runs one of the Facebook groups about Greek citizenship and all this stuff, because I'm trying to get my Greek passport, and ended up being the nicest guy, talking to me for like 2 hours from Australia, texting back and forth. And he basically said, I've got the documents I need now. That document I got from Greece like a week ago, that was just like Deus Ex Machina or whatever the hell, just appeared out of nowhere. Basically, that's the document I need. So I still have some scary forms to fill out. I've got to get, lots of different documents that I still like, passports and things. Anyway, let's see. This I'm not counting this chicken until it hatches, because there are still possibilities of problems. There's lots of different spellings of the last names. I mean, I literally found another spelling of my mom's last name. There's 4. There's literally 4 spellings. One starts with a D, one starts with an NT. One has 1 L, one has 2 L's, one has 1 N, one has 2 N's, and it just depends where. And you're like, oh God. So they could decide to be evil about that. It's like, thank you, Sadie said. Thank you, Shelby. So it can be difficult still. I'm a little worried. Once you do the research, it changes, because people weren't literate. it didn't really matter. Like going back, because my family, like on mom's side, we've got a couple different mom's side, both of her parents, the family name we've got back to the 1700s. Well, it changed. I mean, like I said, on mom's side, forget it. There's, D and T, one L, two L's, one N, two N's, and that's mom. And then the mom's other side, one P, two P, TS, TZ, TZI, TZO, TSO, TSI. It was like, oh my God. It's and the problem is it depends how anal the Ministry of the Interior people are about your name constantly changing in all the forms. Even my mom, her Greek passport has one spelling. Her American passport at the same age has another spelling. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So but it is what it is, but I'm hoping, I'd consider retiring in Greece, to be honest. I don't like Washington. I've said, so help me God, if I die in this town, you all come and be mean to me, because I really have got to get out of this town. I do not like this town. Thank you, Scully. And it would be really neat to have that passport. And it matters. It means a lot to me personally. Greeks, I think all over the world, I assume it's the same thing for Greeks. And I don't know whether any of you are Greek from other countries, but Greeks around the world are brought up like Greek. And the Greeks don't always think we're Greek, but for us, we're Greek. And you're very proud of being Greek, and you're brought up with all the traditions, and you got to go to Greek school when you're a kid to learn Greek. And like, it's drilled into your head, and it's really strong part of your ethnicity. But Americans have that for a lot. Italians are the same way. Italian Americans, Irish Americans, my God. Irish Americans go back to like the 1800s, and they're hugely proud of 1840s, is it, I think? And they're hugely proud of being Irish, Polish. Yeah. Well, Chicago, we actually, a lot of the ethnicities in America, I just don't know to what degree around the world. I know Greek communities around the world tend to be very strong. So they're very Greek, but I don't know about like other, like our Italian communities and Polish communities, just as strong in Australia or wherever they go. I mean, we have a lot of Greeks in Australia, but, second generation Greek, but in America though. Yeah. I do not eat Greek yogurt. I mean, I like Greek yogurt. Sure. It's more expensive though. Greek yogurt typically is, drained. So they strain it. They let some of the whey, come out so that it's a much thicker, richer. Yep. Yeah. Australia, I know, is huge. And I know clearly big ethnic pride thing in Australia too. We have some Greek Australian relatives too. I discovered the only relatives I discovered via Ancestry. Still trying to, I mean, we know how we're connected, but we're still trying to figure out the exact, Italian Australians. That's what I was wondering. Is it? Okay. Greek yogurt to pancakes. So that's interesting. Huh. I don't know where I would go in Greece. That's a whole other question. Yeah. Well, who knows? My nephew's really big on Crete. He wants to move to Crete. I'm like, I consider that. He's been several times, really likes it. I've only been to Crete as a kid. Passport. Yeah. So you'll get a passport reveal if I get it. But again, I'm still waiting for the embassy to get back to me to say, okay, here's where you are. Here's what you need. Then we still need Greece to get us a few documents, which is its own drama. But in principle, this, like I said, this latest document from Greece was like the mother lode that just somebody in the small town in Greece decided to. I found an email online, literally for the office. I emailed them, sent them a copy of like my birth certificate, my mom's birth certificate, my mom's death certificate, my mom's Greek passport, and said, could you look and see if you can find anything on my family? And she did. And the embassy has tried repeatedly, the consulates before the Greek, and they've said no. I mean, the local official said no. This time, some local official went deeper and found it. So very interesting, Italian passport takes forever. Figures. Yeah. Wildfires. Yeah. No Donald Trump in Greece though. And then you can all come visit. send her a gift. I wish I knew who it was because I don't have her name. I think it's a woman. But I don't have her name. And I feel a little weird saying, can I have your name? Because honest to God, I want to send them something. I really do. Like, I don't know how. The problem is in Greece, how the hell do you send something? I can't send food. You know what I mean? Can you send flowers? I don't know. But I feel like exactly. I want to find out who this is and say, because the good thing about ChatGPT is I've been able to write the letters in English and then say, actually, ChatGPT has been very helpful because I wrote the letters in English and then said, because with ChatGPT, you also have to kind of give it instructions. And I was like, I'm writing this official in Greece. I'm looking for my passport, my Greek citizenship, local official, this town, this level. She's being crazy helpful. No one's been this helpful. I've been trying this for years. And I said, write me a letter in English first that is polite enough that I'm writing to a government official, but that also it's a smaller town that just gushes in telling them how I can't believe how helpful they've been to a stranger and how much it means to me. And it wrote this, and I had it do it in English first. I rewrote it and then had it translated to Greek. And I got the most beautiful note back from this woman who was like, that was your word. You sent the sweetest words. I mean, it was very sweet. It was very sweet. But I just think it's amazing that now we can use ChatGPT because, Google Translate is not going to give you I don't think is going to give you a great letter in Greek. ChatGPT will give you a great letter in Greek. I mean, I guess I'd have to have a Greek look at my letter and say, okay, was that great or not in Greek? Because in English, it's perfect. Who knows? Yeah, Kalamata, we're from villages near there. Yeah. But no, I've ChatGPT. The only problem is ChatGPT is not always right. So for all I know, it could have proposed to her, but I know enough Greek that I can look at it to make sure it's not like a marriage proposal, but you never know with ChatGPT. It does things sometimes that are really stupid, as we've talked about. So you got to be a little careful with it too, but for something like this, oh my God, or the form, like I've been going through the form for, actually, I think I put it over there. The Greek, where is my form? Just to show you, it's really kind of a funny little, yeah. This is a page that, this is only like an example, but this is like one of the forms. And it's this, of course, all in Greek, of course, right? And, you're supposed to fill it in. And like the bottom is education, and I wrote it in English, but I'm going to have to translate it into Greek and make it fit, which is also going to be fun. Although you can do a second page, but it's this kind of stuff. The thing is, Google Translate is very good for translating the document. You hold it in front of the document, and it's amazing. Some of it I understand. Onoma means name, but some of it, but then ChatGPT to translate the longer stuff like my universities and stuff. It's very interesting. It really is kind of amazing. ChatGPT, fill out your immigration form. Sure. The only thing is you just want to make sure you're getting it right. Well, see, I can write in Greek, but also my handwriting sucks. So I'd rather, although in this case, I've had ChatGPT write it and then I can copy and paste it into a PDF, which is working. So we'll see. But even the writing in Greek, even that, my last name in Greek, oh my God, multiple ways to spell my last name. That's its own drama. It's like, we shall see. I am hopeful. Like I said, I'm just kind of waiting to hear back from the Greek embassy to at least initially say, okay, we got your documents, but the lawyer, so this wonderful Australian lawyer who does Greek Australian, who does immigration stuff, looked at my stuff this weekend and he said, you're going to be easy. Because he thinks our stuff is great that I've got. But, that's him. He knows his stuff, but that's him. Let's see all the, as we say in Greek, all the malachias, all the bullshit that might come up. That's a bit of a harsher word than bullshit, but still, maybe not. Maybe not in Greek. It might not be harsher. Anyway, all right, guys, I think I'm going to go since we're trying to preserve the voice. And my voice is struggling a little bit the last couple of days. I don't know why. I think I do have the appointment with the doctor next week, so that's good. She is asleep under the, I will show you. Here, I'll unplug this. Well, she's half asleep. She's blinking, so she's not really asleep. There you go. She's not really asleep. She was blinking. So you guys are on the phone. Although actually, the phone, you know what? If I grab the phone, I may touch something. I've done that before. I don't want to screw it up. Anyway, all right, guys. I don't know if the bill was going to pass this early. I don't know since I've been on with you guys. I doubt it passed yet. Well, I mean, they've got tons of amendments. It depends when they're done with the amendments. So, they're hoping to get it done by the 4th of July, by later this week. Whether that means finishing tonight, I don't know enough about how many amendments there are and stuff, whether it would go tonight. I don't know. No, this country's in trouble, guys. I mean, it's unfortunate. It really, because I wish, like, for example, Trump gutting all the alternative energy stuff. Like, why not? I mean, the thing is, like, for me, and I've said this before, nuclear power, I'm not opposed to it. If we've got to worry about oil and everything else, then maybe we consider nuclear power. You know what I mean? But why not investigate solar? Why not investigate wind? What's the problem? Well, the problem is if the oil people are paying you, then you don't want to investigate oil and wind, right? And that's the problem. It's corruption. That's why Trump is killing all these things. It's that the oil industry doesn't want solar and wind. Whereas as a country, we should be looking at it and going, clearly this stuff is the future, right? Electric cars. It's clearly the future. Like, it doesn't mean we have to get rid of our regular cars. If you want a regular car, go for it. But I worry that so much of what's going on lately isn't planning for our future. It's just, like I said, a tax cut. That's nice for rich people. Cutting money for poor people, that kind of sucks. But where's the plan for the next 20, 30, 40 years for America? And I feel like the Chinese have a plan. Russia, forget it. But the Chinese, I feel like they've got a plan. Where's our plan for the next 40 years, 20 years, right? I'm not convinced we've got one. I mean, our business is working on its own anyway. Thank God we've got a good business community, right? NVIDIA and AI and all of that, Silicon Valley, but still, it worries me, Anyway. All right, guys, let me sign off. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, and I do like to protect the voice. So what will Israel do? I don't know what that means. No, that's what maybe I was saying. What I was saying was Trump can lie all he wants about whether or not, so my head's itching, about whether or not he sufficiently hit Iran. Israel, in the end, will feel the need to suck up to Trump. But if Iran has some capabilities that we didn't get and that are really dangerous to Israel, I'm not sure Israel's going to hold back. I think Israel's going to go after him because Israel does what's best for Israel, So that's going to be its own sort of interesting thing. It's one thing for Republicans here to go along with Trump. Now, Trump did, by the way, this week, it was the other thing. Trump threatened Israeli aid. He threatened to cut off all American aid. This was great. I've got to do videos on this because this was also possibly the most idiotic thing Trump has ever said. Because it's so great what Netanyahu did in Iran, which I do think is great. It's great what he did in Iran. It's horrible that Israel is trying to prosecute him for bribery crimes. Israel better remember that America gives billions of dollars to Israel every year, and you better keep that in mind when you're trying to prosecute Netanyahu. So Donald Trump is threatening to cut all aid off to Israel and let the country get overrun by its Arab neighbors and Persian neighbors if they don't stop prosecuting Netanyahu. So Netanyahu and all of his people will get offed? Like, really? Like, this is classic Trump, though. Like, somehow that's a credible threat that you love Israel so much and you love Netanyahu so much, you're going to cut all aid to Netanyahu's government. Really? He's just always got to threaten somebody. Exactly. But it was a particularly odd threat. And by the way, sound familiar? I'm going to cut off all of your foreign aid unless you do what I want. I'd like you to do me a favor, though. This is exactly why Trump got impeached, because he did it to Ukraine. Kind of admitting, kind of a confession there, too. Anyway, he's a horrible He's horrible. All right, I'm going to go. Goodbye, guys. Thanks for joining, saving my voice. We'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow. All right. All right. Goodbye, folks. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Oops. I got to slowly figure out where this is. There it is. All right. Goodbye, Discord. Disconnect. Oops. 1 second. YouTube. YouTube. All right. Bye, YouTube. And